But
Yeah, sorry to hear.
it is what it is. But but yeah, I don't know. I've been doing a lot of research on the subjects for today.
Is
So
it Twinbee?
Toynbee,
Oh, it is Twain. There's
Toyn,
not a like
not
I'll
Tony
tell you
B.
what.
Yeah, yeah.
I
What?
watched a weird documentary. Oh
Uh,
man, there's like a fucking food or something.
you got a fuzz in
Gross.
there.
It was just a
Yep.
fluff.
You're saving that for later, man. I'm sure it's
Uh
cool. But
um what was
documentary.
yeah, yeah, I feel like it's
The
pronounced Twinbee.
Twin B.
And I think the whole whoever it might have been, it might have been a British man or something narrating it. I don't know, or someone that
it,
for some it may
the
have. I don't know.
was
I
it on
thought
was it on YouTube or
this was like on Netflix maybe like 10 years ago.
okay? Because there is an actual like I think it was like a Sundance Entered documentary
I think
about
that's what I'm talking about.
the
Yeah,
Toynbee Tiles. It had like a redheaded guy and he's like doing all the research with some other dudes and he yeah like it's a great documentary if we're thinking of the same thing.
I think
I
it sounds like we probably are. I don't feel like
yeah.
there's too much.
Uh, but yeah, man. Yeah, today's topic's gonna be it's a doozy of a one.
Yeah,
And as much as this is it, like for the most part, the initial like initially this is just kind of like a fun little mystery, and then it deters into weird, man. And that's why I thought this was a funnily necessary discussion. And I meant to do. I think I meant to do this last season too, didn't I?
we
I
talked about it.
we actually had a discussion about it.
I mean, not like
Oh, not a
not we
full
didn't have an
discussion.
episode about it, but
Okay,
like it came up. We
okay, good.
talked. Yeah, we
That was my
discussed it.
other worry is that like we
We had already done it.
done it, which would be my luck, man. I've been trying. I'm trying to catch up on the backlogs. I've got Y2K and uh the LSD episode going up tomorrow on YouTube, and then I've got
Oh, great.
yeah. Uh,
That's awesome.
but which, by the way, uh, I should be sending you those, um, putting them on the drive
Right
if you still
now
want them.
I have started a habit of recording them just so I have them. So I
Oh,
think
okay, cool.
from now on, yeah. And if you're not going to be doing any editing or anything in particular, then
I
I
have,
think that then I have them for whatever I end up using them for. Because I am
yeah,
I am building this archive of talk audio
awesome.
that I'm just never going to do anything with. But
Yeah, hey, it's
it's
worth
one of
throwing them
those
in there
things that's
sometimes.
just never gonna be ready or whatever. I don't know. I mean, actually, I mean, I feel like I'm more in. I don't know. We'll see
Mm,
where this year takes me because I definitely branched into new areas last year, and I feel that I'm going to continue to do so.
hey, worth expanding your horizons and so
Yeah,
forth. But yeah.
hopefully.
hmm what else I've been doing? I've been watching Mike Tyson Mysteries. Have you watched that
Okay,
show?
with the pigeon,
Yeah, with
does he talk to?
Norm Macdonald as the pigeon.
Is Norm
Yeah,
Macdonald? That's
yeah.
terrific. Do you think it's because of the meme where he wants pigeons to kiss? You know what I mean?
I have no idea about that. I've never heard of that. He wants two pigeons to kiss. What?
Tyson pigeons kiss. Well, he
Well,
must like pigeons because there's actually I was you
yeah.
know what? I am very surprised at the amount of images of him kissing a pigeon.
Well,
Holy shit.
he's definitely a pigeon enthusiast.
The meme is
I thought you meant Norm Macdonald said something about two pigeons kissing, but no, it's because
oh
Mike Tyson's
no,
a
no,
fan of
it's yeah,
yeah.
Tyson it's this yeah, it's this picture in particular
He was making
Yeah,
them.
of him wanting them to kiss. Yeah, but I am surprised to see how many pictures of him kissing pigeons. That's great. I love knowing that. I didn't know. I've not watched this TV show, but I'm aware
Oh
that
man.
there's a pigeon on it. What are the other characters? It's very
Um.
silly, right?
Oh man. Yeah. There's he's got an adopted Asian daughter who was left at his doorstep,
Okay.
and then oh god, what's his actual full name? So the principal from Community voices this character. He's like, so they're trying to do like the spoofy like Scooby Doo archetype angle. You know how who was the ghost from Hanna-Barbera, and they did like, it was like the same setup as Scooby Doo, but instead of a dog, they had a ghost that was like a pirate or something like that. And he had a captain's hat. Was it the Groovy Ghoulie?
You, you better not be trying to do a Captain's Cove to me.
Captain's
Candle
Co.
Cove.
No, no, Groovy Ghoulies is just the punk band. Um,
Oh,
I thought there was a Hanna Barbera ghost care the Funky Phantom. That's who it was.
the Funky Phantom.
Yes, the
Yeah,
Funky
that's not
Phantom.
that is somehow that's just not on my radar at all. I mean I'm familiar with a lot of early Hanna Barbera things. I
Uh,
missed the Funky Phantom.
oh, dude, it's
What the hell?
yeah. I'll send that your way.
Okay,
But yeah, it was like Scooby Doo with with a fucking ghost.
I definitely remember watching Jabberjaws on
Jabbered, yeah,
Saturday morning.
yeah. But oh goodness,
At one point, I feel like there was a big crossover where maybe like a blimp picked up a bunch of Hannibal Barbera characters, like the Funky Phantom. Oh my god!
oh god, what is his character's
Yeah,
name?
not even. It does not ring bells.
But isn't that
Crazy.
weird? It's like I very rarely saw it on The only reason I even remember that show is because of the cameos by the Funky Phantom on Wacky Racers.
Oh sure, yeah. Wacky Racers may even be the thing I'm thinking of, where there was a lot of crossover going on.
Mm.
But I feel like I remember a bunch of them sailing around in a blimp with like Snagglepuss and the Grape Ape or something.
I love how they made these like Laugh Olympics seem like they were actually being animated for Cartoon Network. Like when they were doing the advertisements, it was like, oh, Wacky Racers, and it was like around the Olympics or something like that, and they made it seem like they were like making new Wacky Racer episodes, and everybody got excited, and they never did anything with it. I don't know.
Oh,
Maybe
I almost feel like I knew about that.
I feel like I'm misremembering that, but like
I
that's
I
yeah.
sort of, but I mean, I feel, you know what, for whatever reason, I do remember Wacky Racers kind of being on people's minds a couple years ago or so for having something to do with Adult Swim. I like it vaguely sounds familiar what you're saying, so
Mm.
you might not have it
But
totally right,
but
and I might just have
oh god, what
a
was
Mandela effect.
but Jim Rash was a character
Yeah,
named
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mark.
yeah.
Yeah, the community the Marquis of Queensberry. But because Mike can't, he didn't realize that's how you pronounce Marquis, Marquess.
Yes,
So Mike Tyson calls him Marcus.
Marcus. Yes.
So his nickname in the show was Marcus instead of Marquis of Queensberry. But yeah, I love his character, Jim Rash's character on this show. It's so funny. He plays a gay ghost from like um oh goodness. Um who's the gay writer from the 1800s? Poet
Oscar Wilde.
Oscar Wilde. Yeah. He apparently had an
When
affair
he
with
plays
Oscar.
Oscar Wilde.
No, he
Oh,
his son
I'm really glad
had
that I got it first try.
his in an episode his son had an affair with Oscar Wilde.
Oh,
and
great.
and despite him being gay himself, like shunned his son and never spoke to him again, and you know Like it was a very interesting episode for trying to be just funny. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a weird show. It's super funny. A lot of things are most of that show is just goofy. I really enjoy it. Um, and then Norm Macdonald as the pigeon is just Norm Macdonald, like in everything he's
Yeah,
ever
that
done.
guy was a spectacle.
He was an interesting fellow.
The his weekend update material
Oh man,
is
yeah,
just
it's rough.
really good.
It's rough. It's so especially a lot of the OJ drops that he did.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know if you remember the like he would like he would like
I
make
sure
like
don't
a
remember specifics.
I don't remember any specifics, but but for example, it was like he would undercut another like important story. It would be like um President Clinton today pardoned a turkey and OJ did it or something like that or
Okay, yeah.
something like
Yeah,
that.
gotcha. Okay.
uh, I'm not gonna go into it. I feel like I do this like hack like fucking Norm Macdonald impression, so I'm not gonna go into that.
It
But
was all right. It was all right.
it's bad. Um, but yeah, I like Norm Macdonald for the most part. He's I mean the dude was like super intelligent too for what it was worth. He was like an Ivy League graduate, and then he just acted like a
A
dumbass
bozo.
in every single movie.
Well, great. Good for him.
Yeah,
That just sounds perfect.
I like in
We
every.
need more Harvard dumbasses
Hmm.
being dumbasses.
I think Conan O'Brien is one of those guys too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm a fan of Conan.
that sounds correct.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, do you remember when he cracked his skull open right like on live TV?
No, I don't think I believe I've seen that.
Oh my God. I don't.
I'll look it up.
I want to say Terry Hatcher was there, the Superman lady,
Conan
and
cracks skull.
they were doing something where he was like running around. They like raced each other around the studio or something, and it was just this concrete ass floor with like a plastic like a Formica fucking logo, probably his fucking logo on printed on the concrete, and they came running in, and his feet like a banana peel in a cartoon. His feet just went out from under him. It
Oh
was
my god.
disgusting and horrible to see. Oh my!
No,
It was like, oh fuck, he's dead.
dude, I can't seem to find it, but what I am finding is something that reminds me of something else that I watched on like fucking Reddit. Um, I don't know what it was. I think it was like Crazy Fights or something like that. And
All right.
there was or like Damn That's Interesting or one of these. But there was this Muay Thai fighter, and he's toughening up his elbows by like beating them against like big stalks of like bamboo
Ugh.
and just breaking them apart, like shattering
His
them
elbows.
with his elbows. And then he's in a fight with a guy, and
Is he an
they're
elbow specialist?
I guess so. He throws a bow into the guy's head, and then it like indents, and then just like begins leaking. I've never seen something like a hit like that indent into a skull.
Ugh.
It literally looked like it just left a dent in his head. Ugh.
Oh my God.
Yeah, totally cracked this dude's skull with his elbow, with his bamboo cutting elbows.
Bamboo elbows.
His bamboo elbows, like absolutely wild. But his fucking bamboo elbows. I don't know what else I've been doing. Death Stranding has just been eating up all like
Oh my God.
all my
Isn't it great?
non-research time is just playing Death Stranding.
Good. Good.
If
I really think it's a gem. Like I really think it's incredible.
you know what? I'm not gonna lie. At first, I was very, I was not responsive to this whole strand type game concept because I didn't necessarily know what a strand type game was. And,
Yeah.
uh, and I'm like, is a strand type game where you bore people by making them walk long distances and it turned out that like I played through like the only problem was like I played through like most of the intro of the game and I think I misread a couple of things or misunderstood a couple of the concepts,
Oh,
and that's common with Kojima
I think it's
games.
intentional that you
Yeah.
misunderstand a couple of the concepts. Yeah.
So yeah, and I just did not have a good time playing with it. And I'm like, that's it. I need to put this away. Maybe I'll come back to it another time. And
When was that?
that was when it first came out.
Okay.
I
Wow. So
got
it's been a minute.
it's been a couple years because I've had so many other games to pick. Like I still have a copy of Red Dead Redemption. I played through like maybe the first couple missions and I put it down and haven't come back to it. I need to finish that one up too. Red Dead I heard was pretty good.
Yeah. I don't. I feel like yeah, I think I started it like on someone else's PS4 and like I
Mm.
got, I did the thing I do, which is I played it for 3 hours or so.
Mm-hmm.
And so I sort of feel like I've done it, but it's been like it's on over across over there somewhere where I don't have a camera right now. I have another shoe organizing thing of pockets hanging and Red Dead
Nice.
Redemption is in one of the top pockets next to Dark Souls for PS4 and Super Mario Maker. Also, SNES cartridges of Link to the Past and Super Castlevania are on that top row.
Dude.
That's what's in the now playing row. And Red Dead Redemption 2 has been there since that fucking set of pockets went up on the wall.
Dude,
So
I
it's
need to
been
get
there a minute.
I need to get in on that.
Yeah,
Huh.
I do want to do it. There's a lot of things I want to do. And I keep starting them and yeah, I very recently started Assassin's Creed Greece Origins. No, Greece
Origins?
Odyssey.
Odyssey. Oh yeah,
Assassin's
it
Creed
is.
Odyssey, and I did this. I played it for maybe 10 hours, and I really had fun doing it. But I just a lot of them I just and you know what I did? And now this is I know exactly what the problem is.
Mm-hmm.
Elden Ring has ruined it all for me. What I did is
Yeah.
I'm playing Elden Ring now again. I'm just playing. I didn't like. I tried to
Oh
play
shit,
all these
man.
other open world games. They didn't scratch it, so now I'm just playing Elden Ring because that's going to be the answer for a long time.
Dude, if I had the money to pick it up, that was going to be one. But I still need to go through all the old Dark Souls first. I think I only did like maybe the first couple areas of Dark Souls 2.
Oh god, Dark Souls 2 is such a
It's a,
it's such an off-putting motherfucker.
it's
It
a hair
has charm.
it's a hair puller, but
It
like
is
yeah.
God.
But I'm having fun. I did have fun with it. I just I'm like I mean I gave the creepy crow nest the silky or whatever the fuck they wanted, and then I don't know what the hell happened after that.
Give me silky,
Give
give me
me
soft or
smooth.
whatever.
Give me
Oh god,
give
I
me
hate it.
silky. Give me smooth.
Oh
Or something
my
like that.
god, I
Yeah.
it really upset me the first time. And actually,
Uh.
it upsets me every time I hear it.
Oh, sorry.
I do not like it. I do not like Give Me Silky.
Yeah. Baby wants blue velvet. Oh
Um
man, that's a good movie too. I need to go back and watch some David Lynch flicks.
I I famously do not recommend doing this.
Watching David Lynch flicks.
Yeah, I do not recommend. I love David Lynch is one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. All of his films are terrific. They
Hmm.
all that you can watch them over and over again and keep noticing weird shit about
Hmm.
them. His whole vibe is so it is the absolute it is his vibe is immaculate to me. I would not recommend that anybody ever watch any of David Lynch's content. It's not. necessarily going to be fun, and probably not. It's there's enough of it is going to not be fun for me to put a blanket statement on the whole of his body of work. One of my personal heroes. If I
Hmm.
was going to interview 5 men, he'd be one of them. Don't ever watch a David Lynch movie.
Dude. Oh man.
No,
Yeah, no,
boy.
God, what was it? I think we already talked about this. That it was like a collection of short films that he did, and one of
Yeah,
them was like, yeah, the Mutt one. Yeah, we
something
talked
about
about that.
the grandmother.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's the title.
Yeah. It was like he made a grandma tree or something like that. What was the
Yeah,
joke?
he grows a grandmother from a suspicious seed that he finds or something. A suspicious fruit.
Oh man, that's a fun hat.
Yeah, I can't. Actually, I bet that it would fit just fine. It's very large, but it's not gonna. I need to go and put a hoodie on. I'm getting chilly. This is not. This is not
Yeah.
gonna cut it.
Yeah.
This is. I don't have my own camera up right now because I've got too many things. Let me take a look at how this looks. You know this. I like how this. I like how it fits. The weird part is that my glasses are in there too.
Uh-huh.
Otherwise, it would be fine. This is a great hat. Holy shit. I'm
Dude,
gonna. I would like to
just
put a hoodie on. So
yeah, that's a good idea. I'm gonna also grab something more to drink. So yeah, we'll reconvene in a minute here.
all right, talk to you in a minute.
Deal.
You're such a lovely subject. You're such a good lollipop. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Okay. What's up? Now we are all bundled up. Are you muted? Or have I?
I am muted. Ha ha ha
Okay.
ha
All
ha
right,
ha.
that's
Yeah,
just
yes.
curious.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
just wondering if that might be the case.
that was definitely the case. I
Seems possible.
That's indeed what happened.
All right.
Uh, but yeah, man, I'm feeling loosey goosey. I have a feeling that today's gonna be it's gonna be a fun one.
All
It's
right.
gonna be
Cool.
it's not gonna be it's going to be fun, but it's not going to be fun in some points, but it'll still be fun.
Resurrect the dead on planet
Planet
Jupiter.
Jupiter. I
All
bet.
right.
I bet.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yep. Oh, just taking science notes from a historical philosopher. Is the power Chad
Toynbee.
movement, Toynbee himself, and oh man, we're gonna get into Toynbee. Toynbee's an interesting character within himself, and we'll discuss that when we get to him. And then you said you got a dad segment today, so we're gonna. I'm excited for that too because
All right.
I'm not familiar with this with Game of Thrones at all. So
I hate I hate every I hate everything about Game of Thrones. One of my first podcasting efforts was just it
raving
was
about Game of
just a
Thrones.
podcast. It started out as just a podcast about Game of Thrones, and it turned into a podcast about how much I hate Game of Thrones, and it was me versus the two guys who still wanted to talk about it. Boy,
That sounds like
I
a
must
rough
have hated it
podcast.
while it was happening. I'm an old school Game of Thrones hater, so yeah. So
I
we'll
was there before any of it. Before even the white or there was the red wedding or whatever. I don't know.
the the
The
red
white
wedding
wedding.
is certainly something that happened in season 3.
All right, dude, you ready to get it rolling?
Yeah.
All right, let's cue the music. All right,
Okay.
right on.
Excellent.
Evening, gang. Welcome to Thought That Was Weird. Happy Tuesday, everyone. I am Thrash Cashew, and of course, here as always, the gentleman with the coolest hats and the coolest cats. Give that up for Mr. CuyaDK.
What's up?
Yeah, but yeah, we got another a barn burner for today, man. We got some
What's that
interesting stuff.
mean?
A barn burner, as far as
Yeah.
I've understood, it's a term for something thoroughly exciting and exhilarating.
Okay.
Which
All right.
I
Yeah.
don't know, like I don't know why you would burn down a barn. Like, I mean, like just for the thrill of it and exhilaration of doing it. That just sounds like some like not cool shit. You
Maybe it
should
means like a party that's so great that the barn
catches on fire.
ends up burning, catches on fire.
That
Yeah.
we're still
Maybe it
talking
was
about
a trip.
arson.
Maybe it was you would throw a party when it was time to burn down the barn. You know why you would burn it down?
The insurance money.
Well, that's one reason. I think maybe before insurance, you would burn it down to reclaim the nails.
Hmm. Yeah, man. Like
Maybe,
maybe
maybe that's something.
it's an
I feel like that was something that occurred. They would those nails. I mean, they must have been shitty to begin with if they were being produced in the 1800s.
idea.
But after the house gets burned down, they must have been extra shitified. It's not now that I've actually thought about it for 1 second.
Hmm.
It may be something people did. I mean, they may have been using these wrought iron nails that lasted forever or something. But it sounds like an insane thing to do, to burn down the barn or the house to reclaim the nails. Insane. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's something someone told me one time. I should make a whole I should make a segment called "Here's something someone told me one time."
I will make sure to put that into the line.
We'll see. We'll see.
Hmm.
But I often find myself saying some anecdote and then being like, "That sounds like absolute horseshit." I have no idea. Someone just told me that 10 years
Well,
ago. Who knows who?
yeah, well,
That's a real common thing
that's a whole
to
nother
come out of
bucket
me.
of fish right there, man.
Yeah,
You know, just like
I gotta, I gotta find trout flavored yogurt
trout flavored
for
yogurt.
Rudy Giuliani.
Trout
It
flavored
craves
yogurt.
trout flavored yogurt, or maybe my asshole neighbor Pokey is the one that
Is
Giuliani has a guest that craves trout flavored yogurt.
he has a guest that craves trout flavored yogurt? I've never heard of such
Yeah,
a thing. That's
I'm speaking of uh well loved Japanese role playing game Earthbound.
mm,
The man's
oh,
name is Mr. Monotoli,
Monotoli.
but he's Rudolph Giuliani. You got to
Okay,
get trout flavored yogurt for his guest. I don't know who that is. It might be Porky.
that's right. Wait,
I gotta play Mother 3.
there's something going on with the screen here. I need to figure out what's going on.
Oh, of
What,
course.
man?
I keep so one of these days.
I've been having these like little cuts in the
Jesus.
feed like this like for the past couple days. I don't know what it's been.
Call your fucking internet service provider.
I know. What is it? Spectrum, you're on notice, and Xfinity, you're on notice. But
Every service provider is doing a bad job, as far as
I
I can
know.
tell.
Again, I
No
keep on.
one has a good connection to the internet.
No, I end up with these like random fuzzy screens like, and there's just random creeper baguette. Like I don't know what the hell is going on with
I
my
don't like
TV
that big. I like him less with the thin lips.
there. The guy got rhinoplasty just for you, dude.
Someday I'm gonna bring in the strange thing that he reminds me of and give you a real spook.
I would love to see it.
I'm
I would so love to see it.
gonna have to figure out how to somehow slip it into your feed. I don't know. I don't know how that'll work. I
Dude,
might just, hold it up like this.
seriously, just pass
That's
it to me.
probably.
I will throw it up on there. It would be great.
No, you can't see it, and I don't want you.
Yeah.
I want your fresh reaction
Hmm.
to something strange.
What? Throw it my way one of these days.
I'll figure it out. I'll figure
Yeah.
out how to get it. Yeah,
I'll
I'll figure out how to. I'll
I,
figure
I,
out how to spook you real good, like that baguette spooks me.
I apologize for the back that
Mm.
creepy bag that freaks you out, man. That's my apologies. Uh but yeah, you wanna start rolling the dads?
Yeah, let's talk about some dads.
Let's talk about some bad dads and
Let's do
not
it.
not think about creepy baguette people. I think that's a fair trade, yeah? Okay. Bad dads. All dads are bad. Dads are being bad. Super bad dads. All dads are bad. Oh man.
By the
Oh,
way.
oh, I forgot to throw up the bad dad stuff. There we go. Hey, there it is. One sec. Ah, again, all this this static, man, it's been killing me. But anyway, yeah. So let's get into this bad dad stuff.
By the way, Thanos is doing a split in the air and touching his toes in that intro image to the bad dad segment. To all dad, welcome to All Dads Are Bad with CuyaDK. I can't believe that I came up with a system of ranking assholes, and Jamie Lannister is gonna be at Jamie Lannister. I have and I've mentioned this a lot of times,
Yeah.
so I've put some thought into this. I've come
Mhm.
to the conclusion Jamie Lannister is one of the best dads on our list,
Mhm.
maybe in fiction. The problem, that
Mhm.
there's like a certain thing about Game of Thrones. There's like a certain thing that people are like.
Mhm.
Do you know what I'm talking? Do you know the
Yeah.
thing I'm talking about?
The certain thing with Game of Thrones, I assume it's all the dong and boobs, or I think that's most of what anybody's ever talked about when it comes to Game of Thrones. It's all
Yeah,
about
anything in particular about the dongs and boobs and what they're doing? That
it,
comes. Yeah, let me put it this way: have you culturally osmosed the big? Do you know why Jamie can't talk to his kids?
no, but I have a feel,
Incest
but I have a
is this
feeling.
big theme of Game of Thrones
Uh,
that I'm wondering if you were. Sometimes, as I'm watching reviews of
mhm.
like Elden Ring, you know, George R. R. Martin wrote the backstory of Elden Ring.
Yes, 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 yes.
Uh, very frequently, someone reviewing it will come to some incesty part, and just the automatic joke, like automatic is, oh, this is definitely George R. R. Martin definitely wrote this part. It's just he has become this show, and this show really, both of them have become notorious for incest. Jamie cannot, Jamie can't really have a good relationship with his children because they're his sister's children. His sister's the queen. She's married to the king. The king thinks they're his children and they're in line for the throne. Everything goes terribly wrong because that's the main reason things go wrong in Game of Thrones. Uh,
The
I feel
incest.
like Jamie's an asshole. I hated Jamie. Part of the reason I got into watching this show is because how much I hated this villain character. He has a lot to do with a lot of the inciting incidents. He's a big piece of shit bully, but he honestly seems to treat his kids okay and do whatever he can in his kids' best interests, even though they can't know that he's their father because his sister, his twin sister, is their mother.
Oh
Jamie
man.
Lannister sucks. I'm so mad that he died by a wall. Look at his smug. Can't you just tell that he's an asshole? You could.
It reminds me of I get like Peacemaker vibes. I get total John Cena Peacemaker vibes from this dude.
Yeah, kind of, but not fun. I
But
hate
not
Jamie
like not like
Lannister,
fun douchebag, but like
but
yeah.
definitely douchebag.
But
But tough guy
yeah.
douchebag, sure.
Mm.
So a rock falls on him. The biggest disappointment, I think that this guy ended up getting mistreated by the writers of the TV show. I think he was just used to go back and forth to make one side of the fandom crazy and hate him, and when people started to kind of like him, they'd make him do something completely heinous, and it was just annoying soap opera kind of stuff with him. Right up to the end, he was so annoying. Honestly, it doesn't even matter. A rock
Mm.
falls on him, but you know who sucks?
Ooh,
You want to know who really, really sucks in Game of Thrones?
dish it.
Do we, do we got a couple? We got a couple.
Oh,
Can we
yeah,
skip a
yeah,
slide or
yeah, yeah.
two? I'm
Next
gonna be like
slide.
a second behind,
Oh, I'm sorry. Here.
but I think we should
Yeah.
be coming up on the real bad dad of Game of Thrones. Now, this might be controversial.
This guy?
Thrash. This guy, Eddard Stark. In fact, we're going full spoilers, right?
Yeah, I'm not. I'm never gonna be able to watch that. Yeah.
Full spoilers to anyone watching. This
Hmm.
this second slide of him you have is his death. Everyone was very upset when he died because he's everybody's favorite character. He gets his head chopped off, and great. I'm glad
Mm.
that he did. He was dumb as shit, and he was awful to his children.
Holy cow.
Uh, this dude put his children into so much danger, probably on purpose. This dude, like, after one of his children was crippled by
Hmm.
Jamie fucking Lannister, he fucking is like, well, this would be a great time for me to leave the castle, maybe forever. And you know what? Forever, indeed. Uh, my other son, who's a bastard, who's been just raised under terrible abuse by my mean wife who hates him because he's a symbol of the fact that I cheated on her, isn't even my son. He's my sister's. Why am I Ned Stark right now? His Jon Snow. You
Mm.
may be also familiar with something from. You may have heard
Yeah.
somebody say, "You know nothing, Jon Snow." It's a very funny. It's a
I'm
very
I'm,
popular thing to say from
I'm
Game of Thrones.
mm-hmm.
The reason he knows nothing is because he was raised by this man's wife who hates him, and he was this guy's sister's son. This
My
guy just like
uncle's
grabbed him
cousin's
and was like,
brother.
"I'll protect you by pretending to be your dad. And the kid grew up knowing nothing. Uh, he's got a ward, like some other lord did a rebellion, and Eddard squashed the rebellion and was like, I'm going to take one of your sons, Theon Greyjoy. I'm not even going to tell you what happens to him, because really, in the second episode of the show, and I don't know if, boy, so much of this bad dad stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if all these tropes just work together, and I don't know if I'm mad about dads or about bad things happening to little animals. But due to a bunch of politics and bullshit, mainly involving Jaime's sister Cersei, who is the real
Mm-hmm.
villain, and also, guess what very disappointingly happens to her in the very end of the show? Just any guess. You're gonna feel silly when I tell you. Here are
I'm.
some of his children, all
Mm,
of who are mistreated.
oh, jeez. So
Especially Sansa, who I'm about to talk about.
I,
I'll
I
tell you what happens to Cersei in the end of the show.
I have no
A
idea.
rock falls on her. I'm not kidding.
Is this Midsummer? What the fuck is this?
It's so awful. Some of the most hated characters in television, Cersei and Jaime Lannister, get back together. So Jaime betrays Brienne of Tarth, like one of my very favorite characters in the show,
Uh,
leaves, goes back to Cersei to be a bad guy, and rocks. The walls collapse on them. Rocks and walls fall on them in just the most disappointing end of some villains possible. Uh, so because of a bunch of politics, and because not even these kids all have a bunch of wolves. These kids all have wolves as pets,
they all have
and
wolves as pets.
because of some politics, and one of the wolves, not even Sansa's wolf, bites. Uh, oh God, what's the real asshole's name? What's Draco Malfoy's name?
Oh, I don't know that dude's name. I have no clue. Uh, Draco Malfoy.
No, there's a little blonde shithead in this show.
Blonde
Anyway,
shithead.
blonde shithead gets bitten by a wolf,
Yeah.
and the queen is such a bitch. She's like, we must put the wolf to death, but the wolf ran off into the woods, and she's like, well, there must be a punishment, so we're gonna kill Sansa's wolf. And Eddard is like, I'm a big noble. Eddard is all about the fucking law. He's all about the law and fairness and what's
Mm.
right. And he's like, well, I'm going to go out and murder my daughter's wolf right now. So he fucking does. And guess where
Wow.
all of his belief in the law and honor get him by the end of the season? We
Another
have a
rock.
slide of it.
Another
It's
rock.
the second. It wasn't a rock. I bet they put his head on a rock before they fucking chopped it off. Full spoilers. Everyone was so upset when Ned Stark got his head chopped off. Fuck Ned Stark. He was a
Um.
bastard and a bad fucking dad. That's what
Jeez.
I got today. So people to this day, there are if anyone is listening to this, some people probably want to come over and beat me up for what I'm saying. This guy was like a national hero. When this guy died, people were like throwing their PCs out the window and shit,
For real.
smashing their PlayStations or whatever idiots do.
Punching the TV, which I
Yes.
mean,
Have you punched one?
no, I've shouted at a TV plenty of times.
Oh boy. Oh man. Mm-hmm.
I feel no shame in shouting at the TV. It knows what it did.
Yeah.
But nah, punching it, nah, no, you just leave the emotional scars. Not, no, that's fucking gross. I don't mean that. Anyway, um, yeah, no, I've only ever yelled at a TV. I've never actually. I think I've broken one TV, but it was only for like an art project in high school or something like
Sure.
that.
Yeah, I threw some TVs out some windows and for
Yeah,
video taping. Yeah. I
yeah,
did that. Yeah.
yeah. Everybody thought they were in CKY when we were younger. It
Oh
was
yeah. Oh
from
boy.
there.
Yeah. Everyone did. That was. I mean, boy. That's
Oh,
just what culture was for a little while.
everybody wanted to be Brandon DiCamillo. Like,
Oh boy. They really did. Everyone really did want to be him.
hmm. or Bam
There was a
Margera
lot
and
of
those cats.
freestyle rapping going on around some of the flop
Oh,
houses in the fucking around the turn of the century because of Brandon DiCamillo.
open your ass up like a cake. Let me tap it. I must have it. Mm. Dude, the Beastman rap was probably the funniest fucking thing from that series. That or the Mustard Man song. Mustard, hey, boo boo. That was some funny shit. They made some pretty funny videos back
That was good. That was yeah.
then. But yeah, so yeah,
It's so hard to get away with like really doing valueless nonsense.
valueless nonsense.
It's really hard to make really good not like, and it's not even non-tent, but it's definitely valueless. And it's really hard. There's a certain energy that's just really hard
None.
to capture.
Oh man, weird shit. But yeah, um, yeah, I guess we'll I don't know. I was thinking about this day. So a lot of this. So today's subject is going to be around, as we discussed earlier, the Toynbee tiles. These are little ceramic tiles that were pressed into asphalt all around most of the U.S. as well as a couple places outside of the U.S. It's been found in random spots with different phrases and things like that. And before we get even further into that, I think the thing that kind of really catches my goat is that this all starts with Larry David, or not Larry David, Larry King,
Oh,
Larry King,
okay.
not Larry David. It all starts with Larry King. You know, and again, I never realized that Larry King like got famous from hosting a radio show to begin with.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like I just knew him as like Milwaukee on the air, shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like that's all I remembered him for that, and the time that he pissed off Jerry Seinfeld. Oh shit, dropping things. Oh, you all right? But
Oh yeah, one of the cats I think is just making noise because she thinks it's funny.
she it's all
She's
good.
just complaining. They had a did I mention that uh the vet came today?
Oh
They
really?
had a big day for the kitties. They were very
Aw.
all everyone's very upset.
Yeah, a lot of pulled back ears from
Yes.
yeah.
Oh boy. And they behaved absolutely beastly. They were very poorly behaved. It
Oh
was
man.
very upsetting to everyone. She would this is my aunt who's the vet, and she usually comes over to do
Oh.
their vaccines and stuff. And like
Aw. Okay.
she was kind of like, yeah, when you bring them in the fall, let's just bring them into the office one at a time instead of doing this kind. She didn't
Yeah.
exactly say that, but she
But
was kind of like, yeah, I think I would be able to do a better exam and stuff if you actually just brought it because well, one of them just cannot travel. One of them probably is
mm,
not gonna
not, it's
is
not it's
not
not
ever gonna leave this house.
mm-hmm.
Um,
Understood.
which is why she started doing this, but
Yeah.
it was a circus today. I really and also I'm such an idiot. I was gonna I was about to. I don't know what happened. Why I left the house today. Uh,
Mm,
well, I left the house to go make soap, but
mm,
I left it without. I was about to. I was about to turn the dishwasher on, and I was also going to bring some other things, ingredients and stuff, over to my mom's house
mm,
to make soap. Uh, I didn't turn the dishwasher on, and I didn't bring those things. And then when I got back here, I don't know why, knowing that the vet was coming, I was like, I'll turn the dishwasher on now. So it was extra annoying of me because she had trouble hearing with the stethoscope and
oh
with
no.
general noises and clunkings didn't help anything with the
Uh,
cats being on edge and
yeah.
I just feel like an asshole for anything that I do.
Dude.
So but it's so dumb. That's what it's always I
Mm,
feel like I feel the most like an asshole when it's something so dumb, like I was about to start the dishwasher in the morning and I
Mm.
walked out the door without doing it. Like, why?
I do that all the time.
Marijuana. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's.
It
You
could
ever
be
heard the
it.
term wet brain?
Wet brain? No.
Yeah.
I don't believe I have.
It's it refers to alcoholics generally, but it refers to
Oh.
behavior,
I've heard of the term being wet, but I never heard the term wet brain. Okay.
but behavior not when you're drunk. You know what I mean? Like if you're weird when you're sober
Yeah. So it's
because
like
of your wet brain because you're mostly drunk. So I
ah.
have what do you call it when I forget everything? I forget shit and do more dumb shit when I'm sober. Maybe not. That's probably not true. But
Mm,
doing shit like not turning the dishwasher on, that's
mm,
really a sober thing for me to do. I don't know if I
uh,
have a grassy brain.
grass brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do it too, man. Like I ended up
Yeah.
I was making breakfast the other day and I burnt like 4 pieces of toast. I was thoroughly
Ooh.
yeah, I was thoroughly upset with myself. I'm like, what the hell, toaster? Like I set it to where it
God
usually sets
damn
at.
it, toaster.
I know, as you set it where I usually set it at, and like it wasn't toasting, so I put it on like just a touch more because it wasn't even browned. It basically just got like a little bit of the crusty stiffness on the outside, but it was still like white. It had no Milliard reaction on there. And
Ah,
I pop it in for another minute, and then I go to flip the eggs. I come back, and it's smoking.
of course. But of course, it was
Yeah,
being coy with you.
yeah. So it was playing me, but um, but yeah, yeah. I do it all the time. I get grass brain too, definitely. Uh, even to the point that I forgot what we were even talking about. Oh yeah, it's Larry David. It's not Larry
Larry
David.
David,
It's
yes,
Larry
Larry
David.
David, of
Yes, it's
course.
totally Larry David.
The writer of Seinfeld and that
Yeah,
other show
and
that's about him.
your enthusiasm is not appreciated or whatever that show is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got Sweet D on it sometimes.
hmm Yeah. There's a lot of like fun cameos on that show. But anyways,
Oh,
excuse me.
there's
But
that show has got some serious moments.
oh yes. But Larry King is actually what we're
Larry
talking
King
about.
is a different man,
A completely different man.
also very old,
Uh,
not alive anymore.
Not alive anymore. Absolutely not.
That's how old.
That is how old he's been here since the dawn of the radio.
Yeah,
I
for real.
yes, pretty much. But so this all starts in the year 1980. In 1980, famous radio host Larry King gets a call from a random listener. You know, King gives like the general niceties, and then the caller begins um discussing this kind of weird theory with this caller. This caller starts saying that the basis of Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey is
Yes.
actually based off the theories of afterlife and resurrection by historical philosopher. Actually, excuse me. There's a couple other. Uh, excuse me, I forgot. 2001: Space Odyssey. Of course, the movie by Stanley Kubrick about dude ending up in alternate dimensions and meeting beings of pure light and etc. and resurrecting in some manner and seeing his entire life kind of go by. It's a very
Yeah.
interesting movie if y'all have never seen it. But it's but what is interesting is it mostly the theory is that it mostly revolves around this gentleman, Arnold Toynbee. So
Arnold Toynbee.
Arnold Toynbee. So the caller insists that that the dead and that dead molecules could potentially be resurrected on the planet Jupiter.
Yes.
Now he states that he had
He
no real scientific, facts to kind of
didn't
back
have
this
any.
up.
He didn't have any research conduct. He didn't have any experiments
And
conducted on Jupiter.
yeah, and he in fact like seemed a little bit skeptical himself about the concept, but he was so um he was really into the concept of potentially colonizing the planet Jupiter, and he stated that he Toynbee stated that if human, and I, this is not verbatim, so if humankind did entertain the belief in resurrection, he would be more scientifically, would be thinking more scientifically, excuse me, if he thought in the Christian terms of a psychosomatic resurrection than if he thought in the shamanistic terms of a disembodied spirit. So the man basically believes that human beings could potentially be resurrected, um, basically in the concept of, because what and this is another quote that that's mentioned later, and that is that whatever science can, or whatever God can do, science can do, basically.
Okay.
So yeah, he and it was a very firm, like, Christian based philosopher. He was most notably he was definitely called out quite a few times for his poor choices. Where, man, I had a whole section written down here for him, and now I don't know where that whole thing went. Um, so let's continue with Arthur Toynbee. Arnold Toynbee is a, again, a history of a philosopher of history. Um, Basically wrote like a gigantic like collection of books about the origins of human civilizations, particularly the first 26 human civilizations that were noted by general historians, and how they came into
Okay.
power and so forth. It was like a big to do. This dude, oh, here we go. Um, so Toynbee was like a Christian morality based, philosopher rather than an actual fact based, and a lot of
Okay.
dissenters of his theories basically, point to that. And he was also very anti-Semitic. Uh, he was
Oh
noted,
boy.
yeah, he was noted as saying quite a few interesting things. And mind you, this man was around, uh, most notably around back in like the 1930s, when he was really, expanding his philosophy and so forth. Uh, yeah, but he was known particularly to have a very negative view against, Judaism, basically saying that it was like Christianity's younger, less wiser, sibling of sorts,
Wow.
if you
Okay.
will.
Sure.
Like
Jesus.
they had it's almost like, they had the base concepts, but they couldn't follow through, sort of shit.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, so So there was also, what was very fascinating is that Mr. Toynbee in 1936 was most noted as a supporter of a particular uh, fascist in that time period. I don't know if you remember who that. No, wait, no, it's not this guy. I'm sorry. Hold on. No, not that guy. Wait, no, no, not that fascist. No, no, not that fascist. No, there's a fascist here. No, not that one. Not that one. Uh, Okay. Um, so don't don't have the picture here, but I do have, you know our next slide here. But again, he met a, who back in 1936, and was actually praising his concepts for a particular Germanic country. Uh,
John Travolta.
no, but not this gentleman. I'm talking about Arnold Toynbee. But we will be discussing who this man is. I'm going to be pressing on to him.
Oh, I was asking if John Travolta was the German fascist from the 30s you speak of.
No, but that no, no, no,
I
no,
think
not
John
that
Travolta.
fascist.
He must be Italian. No.
Uh, he might be.
This is
I don't
not
know.
even John Travolta, is it?
No, no, and that's actually going to lead into our next discussion here. Uh, and actually, you know what? I almost forgot that. Well, I guess we'll skip ahead a little bit. So, 1983. So, or excuse me, 1985. There's a playwright named David Mamet who, back in the 1980 was very enamored with listening to Larry David in the late night while he was writing.
Larry King?
Yes, or Larry, did I say Larry David again? God damn
Tell
it!
me that if Larry David appears in this story at the very
I
end,
wish I had a Larry David slide. I really wish I did now.
I wonder if he has said anything about the Toynbee Tiles.
I don't believe he has.
Larry King.
But Larry King, well, he was very he was very into listening to Larry King late at night, and I'm gonna continue calling him Larry David over and over again, because this man is David Mamet. David Mamet is most notable as the writer of the film Glenn Ross, as well as a handful of other really crazy hyper masculine films. Um, he had written a play in 1984 called 4 a.m. and released it in 1985. It was a play about a radio host receiving a call from somebody about resurrecting the dead on Jupiter.
Yep.
All the points in this play that the caller makes are similar to what this caller made in 1980. And the playwright said he made the entire story up, and it was just kind of based off of him listening to Larry David. God damn it, I did it again. Larry King late at night. But it was within this time period that he also admitted that he would stay up late nights to listen to Larry King, and more than likely was privy to this random phone call from this person
Yeah,
on the
he
Larry
had.
David show. So, and what's even more interesting is that, and what I forgot to mention with the initial phone call, what was interesting was that the caller said that he was part of a blossoming faction of believers in this resurrecting the dead concept. And that they were just trying to embolden their numbers by spreading the word of this whole kind of, it almost sounds sort of cult like, it sounds
A
like
little
that
bit.
was where it was kind of like
Sure.
leaning. It was almost like a like a I would kind of equate it to like a Christian alien belief system, if you will. um
Okay.
but yeah, anyway, so and now we will
We've
backtrack.
seen we've kind of seen that a little bit before.
We've seen a handful of that. I mean, we saw it with uh 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 uh, uh God.
Well, that one big guy, the real UFO guy,
Yeah, the sneaker dude. The
the total
Heaven's
UFO
Gate.
guy.
Uh,
Yes, yeah, that guy.
yes, Heaven's
Was his
Gate.
name like Dot or something?
There was no, his name was Doe.
Okay. Is that the villain from Arkanoid?
I've never seen Arkanoid.
It's a video game.
Oh, I've never played Arkanoid. um, so this is like one of the more famous references to this phone call. But what's even more interesting is that within this whole media blitz from this little faction cult group, it eventually expanded to it expanded initially with this um column done by this dude named Clark.
Colonizing the planet Jupiter.
Yes, this dude named Clark DeLeon. He receives a phone call at his office from a gentleman named James
There's no
Marasco.
this is a real man or that's his real name.
The man, no,
Look at that image of the man. There's
Clark
no way
DeLeon, that's a real man.
that's Clark DeLeon.
DeLeon. but
Um,
yeah, we're gonna hear a lot more fun names. So Clark DeLeon
oh,
receives
good.
a phone call from a man claiming himself to be from a phone call from a man named James Marasco. So
Okay.
Marasco asks the journalist, like, if he had time to explain this little theory to him about the dead rising on Jupiter. And Leon does like a couple phone calls with this guy. And there's something in the article, and I wish I had written it down, but it's just like, he says that, the numbers are increasing, but, so far they've got Frank's cousin, Frank's wife, who does the secretarial work. And that's pretty much it, or something like that. I can't read it from here, but like there's something in the
That's
article.
the group of
That's
resurrectionists, of
yes,
Jupiter resurrectionists.
and this group that actually gets a name at this point. This group is now, found it, an actual name. So Rian writes this piece noting that this dude James Marasco is the founder of this organization known as the Minority Association, which
Okay.
again, and mind you, this was written in 1983, so this predates the the play by Mamet. So even more so proves that he really had no idea what he was. He knew exactly what he was pulling from, and
Okay.
it's bullshit. I don't know. He's also a douchebag, but that's a whole another
A
set of
douchebag
stuff.
for various reasons,
A
like
douchebag for other various reasons. Besides that, he steals concepts without actually properly sourcing them or properly
sure.
citing them. Excuse me.
That's the
So
least of his crimes.
exactly. So and this gentleman works for a paper known as the Philadelphia Inquirer. Um, and again, he writes DeLeon writes this short column, and kind of chuckles about it. Nobody really mentions it, and life presses on. Shortly after the phone call in 1983, people start noting kind of strange occurrences with their televisions. They start noting that there's like some weird static occurring on their televisions uh, at random hours. They don't even know where it's coming from.
Oh.
Yeah, they have no idea what's going on. It's interesting. And then what's even more interesting is the fact that it continues to state these kind of weird um, sayings that you can't really pick out, but it comes out as Toynbee idea in movie 2001 Resurrect Dead on Planet Jupiter.
Yep.
And it's repeated over and over again. And it's also within this time period that a man who's like a shortwave radio enthusiast um, is approached by somebody. Um, he didn't remember the name until way later, but we'll get into the name eventually. But
Okay.
he doesn't he at the
Lots
time
of
he was
people with
given
funny names.
lots of people with some funny names. He meets this person, and they say that they need some airwave space, and he very well obliges and helps them out, and comes to find that it's also this Toynbee idea in movie 2001 Resurrect the Dead on Planet Jupiter repeating over and over again. Um, so and the way that that this shortwave radio frequency was advertised was there were these wheat paste flyers like posted all over the city of Philadelphia, and on these flyers was a shortwave radio input.
Okay.
And again, with the pirate the pirate radio waves, as well as these um, TV hacks, it's this kind of Toynbee 2001 Space Odyssey idea begins to kind of really blossom. So, um, and it is around in 1987 when one of the first random tiles of this particular type is founded in Philadelphia. All of them and they've come to find that there's just handfuls of them all over the city of Philadelphia. And mind you, this is also in 1987. This predates internet. Nobody can contact each other about this sort of weird shit. Um,
And that's what's
yeah,
amazing about a lot of things that happened pre-internet. Like so many things that happened pre-internet are just would be impossible. I guess I'm not really saying anything, but it was so
mm,
different when you didn't just have instant information and instant surveillance of whoever you wanted instantly all the
right.
time. Like it's insane what the information everyone has access to now. It's
Absolutely, absolutely. Everything,
monstrous,
yes.
crazy,
I
crazy
and
pants
again,
bullshit.
oh yeah, and I mean, you still had like means of like connecting with people. Like the other thing with this with the Toynbee idea tiles, along with the wheat paste flyers. On the wheat paste flyers, there was also um listings for PO boxes, or for a
Okay.
PO box. Excuse me. There was a listing for a PO box, and you could send in and get like flyers and stuff. But we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, there's all sorts of really interesting means for people to still connect in within this sort of idea here. But yeah, they didn't have internet to for people to figure out like this is somebody trying to spread a a kind of religious concept of of taking all of the past dead that we have on our planet and throwing them onto Jupiter to populate Jupiter. That's yeah, and that's the long and short of this.
I heard that they were, yeah, but everyone will be resurrected. Everyone who has ever died will be resurrected on Jupiter. That's what I heard. Is
Yes,
that, yeah, everyone.
everyone,
Like, they don't
anyone.
need our corpses.
Mm,
We don't have to
absolutely.
send corpses there. Right.
No, no, we do have to send the corpses.
Oh,
That's
we
what the
do.
yeah, yeah. The initial thought was to send the corpses to the planet Jupiter and use the resurrected corpses to populate Jupiter because they could
Oh,
withstand
okay.
that or something.
Okay.
Uh, but anyway, and I'm also a doofus because I can't seem to pull up my chat. Where's my chat? There's the chat. Okay. Um. So yeah, and again, nobody was familiar with this sentence or familiar with this concept whatsoever. They it was just baffling to everybody, so they just kind of left it as like a weird, what the fuck. Uh, so come this is around like 1994. This gentleman ends up finding his first Toynbee tile, and again,
Okay.
it
Yeah, this is the
honestly
guy. Yep.
this is Justin Dwyer. Justin Dwyer, uh, yeah, who again found this first tile in '94, began documenting every single tile that he found in the city of Philadelphia. Uh, he also noted that at the time when the internet was still young, he tried using internet searches to try and search if this phrase was commonly used.
Yeah.
And at the time in like '95, I think he was talking about, he said that he wasn't finding anything about this. So flash forward to like 1999, I think he said. I could be misremembering here. This was from the man. Why do my notes jump like that? I could be misremembering, but as far as I understood, it was uh, it was around that time that he ended up finding this website about the Toynbee tiles, and it was hosted by uh, these two dudes. But actually, first of all, he ends up like making this documentary in 2011. That's why I meant to discuss first. In 2011, makes this
Okay. Yeah.
documentary with a handful of other people. These two guys is what I meant to say. This is Steve, um, was it Weineck and Colin Smith, and these guys were also really interested in this whole Toynbee tile mystery. Nobody knew where these were coming from, and they were starting to, and these two guys initially started a website where people can document where they're finding these tiles.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Justin and these two guys end up like getting together. They decide like hey, I think we got something here. Let's solve this up. So they began finding similar tiles, and people were sending in tiles from Chile, in particular the
Yeah.
capital city of Chile. And among these tiles, there was a tile that was a it basically listed an address within Philadelphia, and it was around this address that they begin finding kind of like smaller sets of like kind of like test runs of these linoleum tiles being pressed into the asphalt. They're finding random letters. They're finding you know random uh like
Bits and
shapes and
pieces
things,
of
bits
cut
and
tile.
pieces like that were like test runs. And they had found, yeah, so and it was all around this one address in Philadelphia. And yeah, and around this time they also ended up finding this thing called the manifesto tile. And mind you, I'm not going to show this because it shares some really um some very gross anti-Jewish sentiment, and I'm not going to put it up here, but I will give kind of the basic talking points of this absolutely nut-filled 3 foot by like 4 foot freaking 4 square tile that had
Oh
this
boy.
nonsense written on it. So
Okay. Oh boy.
the rambling starts with this. The main points of it are the owner of the Philadelphia Inquirer, John Knight, is in with the mob. And it's
Uh-oh.
because John Knight is in with the mob that John Knight sent the mafia to murder the Toynbee Tiler in 1991.
Oh. Wow. Okay.
He also the Tyler also states that NBC, the U.S. Federal District Attorney, turned to the FBI and Interpol to find the Tyler after he had supposedly fled the country to Dover, England, and he was returned to the U.S. Upon the
Ooh,
return,
they really wanted this guy.
yeah, and upon returning, the Philadelphia Inquirer got union workers to vandalize the Tyler's neighborhood, including cars, home windows, and light fixtures. Uh, all major media and it ends with all major media corporations are a cult of the Hellion, and basically stereotypes that most of the major networks are run by people who are Jewish,
Right.
which is absolute again nonsensical. So yeah, and mind you, again, we already know that Toynbee had very anti-Jewish sentiments, and it makes only the greatest amount of sense that it ends up in this
Sure.
dude's ramblings.
Right.
So
This mad
this
Tyler.
mad Tyler.
Some weird tile worker.
Hmm. So anyway,
I'm
these
gonna
these
start embedding weird messages in the street.
so it is within this little investigation that they begin looking into not only because they found they try knocking on the door of the person of the address who owned this home, and this person's name was uh, uh, Severino Verna. Now Severino Verna like lived with his mother, I believe, and anytime that people had called the house to ask, about Toynbee tiles, which was quite frequent, all the a lot of other investigators had come and tried to ask um uh Severino Verna whether or not he was part of the tiling, movement of the Toynbee tile or the Toynbee tile maker, and mother said that he had a lung condition, said he couldn't leave the home. Also said that he was unable to leave the country due to said lung issue, and had had no idea what they were talking about. So that kind of
Had not been
the
hanging out in Chile.
had not been hanging out in Chile, could not even possibly be able to hang out in Chile. Uh, but what was even more interesting was that so again these in Chile you get the address of this Severino Verna guy. That turns out to be a dead end, and they continue pressing on with their little investigation. Um, so they began thinking that, well, wait a minute, maybe it was a previous tenant. So the previous tenant was a dude named Julius Paroli, who worked for Conrail, which is so happened that where the tracks were at Conrail, or the Conrail ran tracks, um, ran basically in every single stop that these Conrail rails went was where you could find a Toynbee tile, and
Okay.
it is also one of the few rails that actually runs down into Chile.
Oh.
And again, also
Oh.
pulls into the capital city. Um, but the unfortunate thing is that the and it was also noted that this Julius Paroli guy also delivered a telescope to Chile. But the thing is it ended up being another dead end because this Paroli
A
guy,
telescope to look at Jupiter with?
yeah, pretty much. But it turned out that this Julius Paroli guy died in 1987. So that's out the window too. So these investigators have nothing to really work with. Hold on 1 second here. There we go. So again, all we have is a bunch of tiles in the street that nobody knows where they all link up to. And they also had a name, James Morat. They ended up finding out the name James Marasco, uh, in like what was this, 2001. Um, they ended up trying to get a hold of this James Marasco guy. It turns out this James Marasco guy is far outside of Philadelphia, um, and is also disabled. He has no voice box and had it removed in the early 80s.
Ooh.
And was also, frequently asked about the minority association and, uh, the following and so forth. And there was nothing to follow it up with. The dude had no voice box, so therefore cannot call Larry King.
Yeah.
He could also not make a phone call to DeLeon. And again, DeLeon, the person from the Philadelphia Inquirer who initially did the article on, James Marasco, had never seen the guy. So once again, just another series of dead ends. It is not until sometime in like the mid to late 2000s they ended up finding uh, finding out about uh, the random kind of shifts in the TV static and what have you that were kind of occurring around these couple of neighborhoods in Philadelphia.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So they find out about this, and so they're like, well, in order to do that, you would need some sort of shortwave radio thing to make it work for you. And it was within that they started going to these shortwave radio cons and started talking to pirate radioers, and they ended up finding this dude Joe, this one dude who had offered um the airspace to somebody. And the dude was like, but what was it, Justin Dewar basically asked the guy, so do you remember, who you gave that airspace to? And he goes, no, but if you probably said a first name, I'd probably remember it. And he goes, do you
Mm.
know who Sevi is? And he goes, Verna. And he's like, yep, that was the person, Sevi Verna.
All right. Okay.
So
Okay. Okay.
it ends up going all the way back to Philadelphia in front of Sevi Verna's house, where again they initially saw the initial test pressings of these tiles.
Yeah. 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 Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, they checked out like all sorts of spaces to try and find this dude, and it turned out that once again it led him back to this Severino Verna guy. And that is when they began trying to talk to neighbors to see if they can convince somebody to let them talk to Severino. And it turns out that the neighbors made note that, one, he was a very quiet, reserved guy, didn't like talking to people. That was the big thing that everybody seemed to mention. The other big thing was that he had a very strange car, and
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
particularly that his passenger seat was missing the floorboards.
No floor. Yeah.
So,
A perfect vehicle for laying tile in the middle of the road and
mhm.
zooming away. That's smart.
Oh, and excuse me, I also forgot the kind of most telling thing about leading everything back to Severino Verna was they ended up talking to this one person who had just so happened to have the PO box for the minority association. And he
Ooh.
sent a couple of correspondences to I can't
Mm.
find the original letters, but I did find this one. He ends up sending like letters to Severino Verna, quote unquote, potentially
Whoa.
in these PO boxes, and in return, um, James Marasco sent out pamphlets as well as literature and these little diagrams. And what's fascinating is that Verna kind of outed himself by accidentally labeling himself as James. Like he would do James Marasco within most of his correspondence, and in one correspondence gave himself up as Severino Verna. So,
Oh.
yep, he ends up being.
Okay.
So the group makes multiple attempts of trying to contact him, Sevi Verna. Uh, they basically they continued over and over again. They tried multiple neighbors, multiple friends to have like this conclusion for themselves, and at the end of the day, they all came to you know the idea that like he's probably a fairly mentally ill person, and maintains his solitude for a reason. And it's within that they were like, you know what, we've been bothering the guy enough. He's already paranoid enough.
Sure.
He's already dealing
Yeah.
with enough. We're gonna leave him alone.
He knows people are fucking looking around for his stupid tiles.
Right. So again, at the end of the day, the only conclusion is that Severino Verna was the only person, was the original Toynbee Tyler, as they call him. But yeah, they were just trying. They just came to the conclusion that this dude was very mentally ill and felt he had no other way to really express himself except for this whole concept. So, and what's even more interesting is that after the documentary came out in 2011, another series of Toynbee tile copycats, as well as shortwave
Whoa.
radio communications, start coming out like this. And this is one of the more well, I guess popular ones. I wouldn't say I'm a fan of these, but these are known as House of Hades tiles. And these House of Hades tiles are obviously very anti-media. Um, I don't know if demanding dead journalists is more than enough to explain that this what this dude's ideas are, but like yeah, it's a very pro-Trump um
Sure.
concept. So yeah, House of Hades has been doing that for a minute. There's a couple of other copycats. And it was also within that time period that the shortwave communications for Toynbee about the Toynbee concept begins coming back up again. So again, it's not necessarily a solid conclusion that Severino Verna actually did this. All the
Hmm.
all the everything pretty much points to this cat. But at the end of the day,
Yeah.
nobody really know. Again, it's
Nobody really knows what happened. Yeah.
nobody necessarily knows what happened. Exactly, it's just as much as it's between the Tyler and the Walls, man. It's much like the Blanche Monnier stuff. Nobody
Yeah.
necessarily knows what
We'll all
happened, and
know when we get resurrected on planet Jupiter.
we will all know once we get resurrected on planet Jupiter. Especially when we
We'll
take
all are one.
and the people reporting it will be all the journalists that House of Hades is expecting to have, which I again, this whole concept is just dumb. Like I've read a handful of these, and this is like the tamest of them.
Wow, okay.
Like literally, the dude's gross. And apparently,
Lots of dudes are.
yeah, and apparently the uh, Justin Dewar, the guy who did who helped with the documentary, was
Oh yeah.
also he apparently also knows the identity of the House of Hades, but doesn't want to give that up. Apparently met him after the uh apparently met him in the midst of his investigations, ended up finding out who this House of Hades guy was, thinking that it was possibly Severino Verna trying to do something different, but it was just some other douchebag trying to spread, anti-Jewish sentiments
Sure.
and gross shit. But yeah, again, you know, nothing's really concluded, but it's it was a very interesting kind of walkabout through because I grew up in a city where there's a lot of street art, there's a lot of graffiti, and
Sure, yeah.
I used to tag myself when I was younger. I actually I actually got arrested once for tagging, and
No, oh no.
well, I didn't. I got detained for tagging, but I wasn't arrested.
Okay.
But
All right.
I had a
Okay.
summons for court. So there was an abandoned building in my town, and it was like a big old like abandoned factory, and that was like the big um urban spelunking thing, if you will. And what
Sure, 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 sure.
and we would go up there all the time, and we'd just go tagging. And one day we brought a couple of friends, and it was at this time the one dude who basically showed me the place. He begins throwing rocks out the window and smashing windows in an opposite building.
Mm.
And mind you, this is one big complex. And what we are unaware of is that,
It's
like,
good that you told me the ending of this story before you
I know two
started. This is
thirds.
very
Well,
fun.
oh, it gets even
That makes it funnier.
it gets worse.
Okay.
The two thirds of the building is like completely abandoned, abandoned factory, and apparently there's like a handful of little offices and minor like workshops that still function in this building, and he didn't know. And
Oh
I'm like,
boy.
dude, you're gonna get us in trouble. Like he's like, well, this building's abandoned. There's nobody here.
Oh
And I'm
boy.
like,
Oh
no.
boy. Oh
And then
boy.
all of a sudden we hear, "Hi!" And I'm like, oh fuck!
Oh God.
And we all boogie out down the
You
stairs,
never want to hear that.
run out the run out
Oh.
the exit, and as we're walking back to my car, all of a sudden I hear, just this another loud, hey, you there, stop there. And these two big dudes, one of them with an ankle bracelet, come out with guns and point them at us. And they didn't have like the little orange siren thing for, or the orange light for like security or something like that. So we got our hands up. We're like, what the hell's going on? What's wrong with you? And they're like, what do you think you're doing? Doing doing that shit. That's what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, how could you do that? And we're like, we were just wandering through. We don't know what you're talking about. And they go, oh yeah, is that just wandering through? And when we turned to the direction that he was pointing, we had come to find that the building had been somehow ignited and caught on fire.
What?
This building, mind you, consistently is a dumping ground for, and mind you, we had no idea about this. It's a dumping ground for toxic waste, um, uh, overstock like shoes and clothes. Like it's a literal dumping ground, and sometimes the chemicals that are dumped over there end up combining and combusting and making fires. And with there being random shoes and clothes and other propellants there,
Shoes,
it's
clothes, and other propellants.
you can only
Yes.
guess what happens. So
Oh boy. Oh
they thought
boy.
that we had lit the building on fire.
Jesus Christ.
Hmm. And the cops come, and we thought we were in some shit. We're all looking at each other like, we didn't even smoke in the building because it was all asbestos. Like, dude, that's like, yeah, you're asking for trouble. And so we're like, oh man, we didn't do that. We're and like they caught us with the cans, and so we're like, we're just tagging, man. Like, we swear. Like, they ended up letting us go because they didn't have any evidence, and apparently, the PD the fire department was taking too long. So, or the fire investigator was taking too long. So like, yeah, here's your summons. Come back to court. And thankfully, because there was no evidence of us actually potentially burning down the building, we ended up getting off. So we were cool. We were fine. They didn't get us even for graffiti. They tried to get us for the arson only. So
Arson. They
yeah,
didn't get us for the graffiti, just the arson.
just the arson.
Boy,
But
good
yeah,
job.
no, not a good. No, that was.
That was not a good job.
Which
No.
by the way, I do not promote trespassing on private property or things like that. Um, don't do that. Get just get a piece of paper. Don't ruin people's buildings like that. It also reminded me of another, and
Don't arson.
Oh man,
Don't burn the barn
don't burn the barn for the nails, man. It
for
ain't
the
worth it.
nails or any other reason.
No. Reminds me of a story that I actually heard about a girl in Detroit who ended up she tagged a building owned by the guy who owns Quicken Loans.
Oh, good. Oh,
Yeah,
boy.
she got the fucking book thrown at her. She got like what was it, like 5 years or something like that? Three years, something like that,
Ooh.
for destruction of private property, along with a handful. They gave her every charge they possibly could, and I don't even know if she's out yet. Like,
Christ.
yeah, dude. It again, make sure, like, if you're gonna do shit like that, make sure you do your research, and I'll just leave it at that. Don't go fucking up, buildings that don't need to be fucked up. Anyway, um, but yeah, beyond that, that's the story of the Toynbee tiles. Just go around, make tiles that promote positive things, not whatever the hell this shit is.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
and Jupiter.
yeah. We'll talk about
Jupiter's fine.
the baguette raising the dead on planet Jupiter or something like that.
Yes.
Something similar. But yeah, that was the coverage there. So yeah, um, yeah, that was a fun one. It was a very interesting thing to go through, interesting thing to read, and there's definitely a lot more to this that runs really really deep. There's also like there's something like another like little sub rabbit hole when it comes to the House of Hades. It has to do with a whole another, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, some sort of like alt right cultish group of some sort.
Of course.
Because why
Because
not?
it's 2023.
Because why not?
It's now we're in alt-right cult world. That's where we've ended up. That's where we are this year for this season.
Mm-hmm.
Terrific.
But again, oh, yeah, don't whatever this crap or the Toynbee tiles are actually like saying, it's pure nonsense. So and again, it does not reflect neither of our views whatsoever. We're merely just spitting back what this gross motherfucker is saying. So yeah, don't be racist. Don't be a anti-Semite. Don't be a douchebag. Some of that anyway. But yeah. But again, this was an interesting topic, and I know I've been wanting to cover this for a minute. And holy cow! Oh wow, they actually. Whoa, I'm sorry. The Twitch app just improved somehow.
It improved somehow.
Yes.
Quite suddenly.
Well, it was like a notice saying that like you can now run your like in real life chats on your phone. You can now like switch from like vertical to horizontal and so forth without it being awkward, which is it does that to me all the fucking time. It's stupid. But
I mean, yeah. I mean, apps are bad in general, but the Twitch one is really
it's
seems
all
thrown together to me.
and I feel bad because like like doing stuff on the computer is a hell of a lot easier on OBS, and trying to do it on the Twitch app, like I try to raid people and I fucking suck at it. And it wasn't only until recently that I started figuring out that it was just the app. It wasn't me.
It could, yeah, it could be the app doesn't give you the same information that you would have on if you were
Mhm.
uh I mean, I guess you would be typing into your chat through a browser no matter what. I don't know why I got lost there. Not knowing where I was like, well, you don't well, although sometimes I don't know, do you have your is your OBS set up to display your chat? I have a little
Yeah,
I pop it out in a browser.
yeah. No, I have it in a like a little um
Okay.
in a little tab set with my stats as well as but I should be probably keeping that
Okay.
separate. It ended up like moving when I was trying to shuffle stuff around. Like
I mean, there's all kinds of ways you can, handle it.
yeah.
It's not too big of a deal.
Oh no, we did the wrong thing, but that's okay. But anyway, yeah, that was the episode, dude. I was gonna say, do you happen to have something for next week that you wanted to cover,
We could rank blobs for sure.
or we're doing the blob ranking next week?
Sure.
I'm down for it. That sounds like a grand old time. And I guess so. I'm also going to be a little bit more better about rating out when folks pop in too. So I'm gonna try and
Yeah, so on your OBS though now when you type in /rate it says like rating in this amount of time or whatever, like you got it figured out.
yeah, it didn't do that for on the
On the
Twitch app,
phone.
on the phone
The
app.
Twitch
So
app, it just doesn't,
it
it just
blows.
doesn't do anything.
It
It's
does
just
not it
bad.
does not cut
Like
the
in every
mustard.
way, the design to it is bad. It doesn't work most of the time. Yeah. Apps are bad, phones are bad. The Twitch app is just a particularly egregious example.
Hmm. Um,
It's also an example of Twitch's disdain for all of its users.
like for real. That goes the same for
This
YouTube too.
fucking Bezos shit.
Like these like between YouTube and Twitch, like they both just really have no sympathy for their content creators, the people that give them their money. They like it's insane, and it's even worse is that like you're supposed to have like an even playing field for all these people, but like people get away with like gross shit all the fucking time,
Yes.
and people get away with gross shit while like somebody like me gets his stream muted for a minute and a half song in Death
For,
Stranding that
for
I paid the
the
rights
song
for.
in the game, yeah.
It pisses me. Oh my god, I was so bad. I've been now trying to like I've been I guess what I would call Germaing it in a sense. I've been kind of like doing uh like trying to yell over the song in key or
Okay,
something.
okay.
Oh god, where was that video? On I now I gotta find it because it was it's really funny. Um, Germa
Do you
pursue.
remember when that guy took a photograph of a submarine in the mountains of Chile? And then like the feds chased him around the planet because he wasn't allowed to photograph the secret submarine because the world was gonna flood in like 20,003.
What the fuck?
None of that sounds familiar to you?
No.
I wonder if that's if that's part of my personal Mandela timeline, or if that's
But
something
dude,
that really
that
happened.
sounds like an episode in itself, man. That sounds interesting.
For some, I mean, I feel like it turned out to be so. Like the guy took basically, first of all, it
Hmm.
was a website that was, it was like 5/4/2003. I pulled those numbers out of my ass.com. And he was gonna reveal the photograph he took on that date, but the website was up, in 2 years earlier or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's just this blog about how he found a destroyed photograph in the mountains of Peru or Chile, a destroyed camera
Okay.
with film in it. And when he went back home to wherever he was from, he immediately noticed that men in black were following him and chasing him around. And so like he left his home and was making this blog through various internet cafes and always about how he was in danger and men were chasing him. And then a year later or whatever, he was like, here's the photograph that I found. It's a photograph of a submarine about to be launched out of the side of a mountain in Peru. And then as I recall, there was like he was like, this whole thing has been a preview for my book, my science fiction book about worldwide flooding. But I feel like there was another, but it was some other, there was a bunch of other sites that had popped up and kind of been a ring all linked to each other. And some of the other ones were saying That's bullshit. They found him, and the cover story is that they posted this fake novel that they're saying it was all a thing for,
Oh
and
my god, that's funny.
but I think actually, I mean, I think at one point, I'm just gonna type it. At one point, I feel like I know what one of because there were a bunch of because he kept like changing. It was almost this internet uh ARG.
Mm.
But at
Okay.
one point, I seem to recall mountainsub.com. Let's see what happens.
Mountain sub.
I swear to God, that what is it? It was I found a photograph of a submarine. Oh man, this domain is for sale for $3,000. I think that was it. There was a bunch of websites that popped up as this story was being told, and I think probably other people got this. But again, this was so
Mm.
early internet that like no one really knew what was going on, and the guy was like,
Interesting.
the guy was claiming there was going to be worldwide flooding because obviously those in power didn't want you to see that they had built a submarine on the side of the mountains of Peru. I honestly don't know if this is something that really happened or something I made up along the way since 2004.
That's us. But
Okay, so what were you
oh,
looking
oh, oh,
for? Oh, Germa.
so there's this bit where he's trying to cover up over the sun. I'm gonna see if this was the bit here. Make sure the volume's up properly. Here we go.
Fuck with the algorithm. Audio jungle. Audio jungle.
But he does that for so he's watching what was it like the it was like E3 or something like that.
Jesus Christ.
And when it was when the band that does the Persona theme, the Persona 5 theme, they were doing the song
okay.
live, and he didn't realize
Right.
that was going on in the stream, so he just that's how I feel. That's how I feel when I play Death Stranding. But yeah, I think
That game is a gem.
it is a gem, and I'm probably going to be playing it as soon as I get off of here, which really solidifies home the fact that I have a very very severe addiction to this game, as well as
Awesome.
the praising that I get from Conan O'Brien when I bring him his video games in his little panda outfit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That was like one of the best bits in the entire game. Is just him talking about how he and his friends all dress up in little animal costumes.
I love it. I love
It's
Conan
adorable.
O'Brien in that game.
Conan O'Brien, so
Yeah.
good.
Do you have the otter hood? Do you wear the
Oh yeah,
otter hood around?
no, I actually
The-
haven't worn it yet, but I probably should. What does it do? What does it do? There's supposed to be like
I
a.
think it I think it activate it's been a while, but I think it replaces like the inflating thing that
Mm-hmm.
activates if you fall in deep water, you know?
Oh, okay.
Like he has a thing that inflates around his head, and I think it inflates around your whole head, but I think you have to actually fall into water for it to actually occur.
To shield up.
I
Okay,
believe. I think.
that's funny.
It's great.
And I wonder if
There's
like
so
what
much great stuff in it.
like
It's just insane.
is it like a means of like you're floating down the river and then all of a sudden like you see your packages and you start grabbing them, you just put them on your belly while you're floating, you're doing the little pump thing to get left and right.
That's that's exactly
I would
that's
certainly hope.
exactly what happens.
I would certainly hope so. There better be some belly
Strap him
action.
right, yeah, put him right on the belly and
Yep,
smash him with
as soon
rocks or
I was gonna
whatever.
say as soon as Norton Reedus gets to the shore, just. But all right, yeah, let's go. I'm trying to remember who VPL Postal is. Is that I'm trying to remember if that's one of your folks or
I don't know VPL Postal.
I think I might have caught him on something. And then oh wait, Canadian Major. That is that one of your
That's one of my guys.
okay. Yeah, well I thought I knew Canadian. Okay, yeah, we'll go see Canadian underscore Major. I actually I don't have anybody here. Is that a douche thing to go raid somebody with like
Do it. I don't. You might. You know what? Those numbers always lie.
I don't know.
You never know if it's real or not. It's probably not.
But nobody wants to be that guy that just that shows up with one.
Let's go say hi.
Yeah, let's go say hi. Was it /raid and then
Yeah,
all right,
space.
then space and then okay, Canadian. Which, by the way, Canadian major. Go check them out for the YouTube later ons. Um, yeah, man, this has been a great episode. Thanks again for the dad and bad dad episode, and
Yeah, thank you.
I'm
And
stoked.
yeah,
Blob time next week.
blob time.
I'm
We'll
down.
talk blobs. I got a whole list of blobs.
We'll get bloberific.
There's a
All
lot
right.
of David Cronenberg talk going to be occurring.
A lot of David Cronenberg talk. I dig it. Well then, yeah, again, it's been a pleasure. Hopefully y'all had a good time. Yeah, we'll catch you next Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll be blobbing it. Thanks y'all again. Thanks to CuyaDK. We'll catch y'all next week. Have a good one. We're gonna raid out.
Yep.
This
Look at
channel,
it. It's happening.
this channel is intended for mature audiences. Is it working?
It's happening.
Okay,
Thrash Keishu is raiding Canadian Major with 1 raider.
very good.
It's me.
It's me. That's it.